Welcome to the Iran 1400 Project podcast, where we explore the past, present, and possible futures of Iran through informed dialogue, independent thought, and diverse voices. From historical insight to emerging narratives, we connect ideas to action in the pursuit of a more just, inclusive, and forward-looking society. Join us as we rethink Iran's trajectory, one conversation at a time.
Today we're wading into something that seems simple on the surface, just a name on a map, but it actually stirs up some incredibly deep feelings. We're talking about the body of water between Iran and the Arabian Peninsula.
Exactly. It's way more than just semantics. Our mission today really is to unpack why this name matters so much. We'll be drawing heavily on Vafa Mostakim's excellent article, Persian Gulf, A Name, a Nation, and the Evolution of Identity from the Iran 1400 Project. He really digs into the history, the identity politics.
Yeah, and the timing is pretty relevant, too. There was this recent rumor kind of bubbling up about the U.S. potentially changing its official term to Arabian Gulf.
Right.
And since Mostakim's work specifically looks at how Iranian national ideas and symbols evolve, well, this whole thing feels very current. So, okay, Persian Gulf, where does that actually come from? How far back are we talking?
Oh, we're talking way back.
Yeah.
Over 2,000 years. Now, the ancient Persians themselves, the Achaemenids, didn't explicitly label the sea in, say, their big rock inscriptions, but their writings strongly connect that whole area, that body of water, to their southern heartland province, Pars, which we now call Fars.
Ah, so the connection was there even if the label wasn't formalized by them yet.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It's like the groundwork was laid, the association was implicit.
That's a serious historical lineage.
It really is. And then you get the Greek geographers, thinkers like Ptolemy, Strabo. They're the ones who really codified it for the wider world, especially the West.
Okay.
They used the Latin term Sinus Persicus, literally Persian Gulf. And that just stuck. It became the standard on Western maps, in scholarly texts for, well, centuries.
Interesting. So that's the view from outside historically. What about within the region itself before, all the modern tensions really flared up?
Yeah, and this is where it gets fascinating, I think. During the Islamic Golden Age, you see this kind of parallel usage. Both Arab and Persian geographers, writing in their own languages, they acknowledged it using variations of the same root name.
Really? Like what?
Well, take someone like al-Masudi, a major Arab scholar. He writes about Bar Fars, the Sea of Fars.
Okay.
And his Persian contemporaries. They're using terms like Khalij-e Fars, the Gulf of Fars. So there was this shared recognition, this common understanding, way before modern nation states and borders were even a concept.
So for a long time, the name itself wasn't really a political football. It was just the name.
Pretty much, yeah.
So when did Khalij-e Fars, the modern Persian version, become so deeply woven into Iran's sense of self, its national identity?
It really ramps up in the 19th and especially the 20th centuries. It coincides with Iran's modernization push, this period of actively constructing a modern national identity.
Right.
So Khalij-e Fars starts appearing everywhere on official Iranian maps, taught in schools, used in all diplomatic letters and communications. The Pahlavi monarchy in particular really pushed this.
The Pahlavis, right. They were very focused on Iran's pre-Islamic imperial history. How did the name fit into that project?
It fit perfectly. For the Pahlavis, Khalij-e Fars was a powerful symbol. It linked modern Iran back to its, glorious ancient past. It helped project this image of Iran as a major regional player, historically significant, with this vital waterway as proof of its enduring importance.
Makes sense. So it's about legacy, about regional standing.
Exactly. Anchoring present ambitions in past greatness.
Okay, but then 1979 happens. The revolution, a completely different ideology comes in. You might think they'd ditch symbols associated with the monarchy. Did the emphasis on Khalij-e Fars change?
You might think so, but no. And that's what's really telling. The Islamic Republic kept the name, absolutely, but they kind of reframed its significance.
How so?
Instead of focusing solely on ancient glory, they incorporated it into their anti-imperialist, anti-Western narrative. It became a symbol of perceived encroachment by regional rivals, often backed by the West. So the justification shifted, but the name's importance, if anything, it intensified. It remained this core symbol of Iranian sovereignty.
Wow, that's a fascinating continuity across such a huge political divide. And Iran's done more than just talk about it, right? They've taken steps to really cement the name.
Oh, absolutely. Big steps. In 2005, they officially declared April 30th as National Persian Gulf Day.
Why that date?
It commemorates the day back in 1622 when Persian forces expelled the Portuguese from the Strait of Hormuz. A major historical victory.
I see.
And this day isn't just a note on the calendar. There are academic conferences, cultural events, sure, but also significantly things like military exercises in the Gulf, big media campaigns, all designed to hammer home the message. This is the Persian Gulf. It's part of our history, our identity, our territory.
Okay, so a very strong, historically grounded, and institutionally reinforced claim for Persian Gulf. Let's pivot now. Where does Arabian Gulf come into the picture?
Right. The term Arabian Gulf really gains traction starting in the mid-20th century. It's deeply connected to the rise of pan-Arab nationalism.
Right.
Think figures like Gamal Abdel Nasser in Egypt.
Ah, okay, the Arab nationalist movement.
Exactly. This was a time when Arab nations, many newly independent, were actively forging a shared identity, pushing back against colonial legacies, and, well, asserting their own narratives about the region's history and geography.
So it was part of a much bigger political and cultural shift.
Precisely. As British influence faded and new Arab states formed along the Gulf's southern coast, they increasingly adopted Arabian Gulf. It was a way to linguistically claim the space to reflect this new Arab identity in their official language, their schools, their maps.
And has Arabian Gulf gained the same kind of international recognition that Persian Gulf historically had?
Not really, no. It hasn't achieved that level of, let's say, international codification. Persian Gulf has centuries of consistent use in global maps, treaties, historical documents behind it. Arabian Gulf hasn't been formally adopted by major international organizations like the UN for official naming purposes.
But it is used officially by certain countries.
Oh, definitely. It's the preferred and consistently used term in official statements, on military uniforms, in the media, by key countries like Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Bahrain, and others in the GCC.
And Mostaking's article points out something interesting. The use of Arabian Gulf often seems to spike during periods of, well, tension with Iran.
Yes, exactly. There's a noticeable correlation. When geopolitical friction between Iran and its Arab neighbors heats up, the insistence on using Arabian Gulf often becomes much louder, much more prominent. It strongly suggests the name itself has become, kind of symbolic battleground, a proxy fight reflecting deeper regional rivalries.
Which I guess leads us straight back to that recent rumor about a potential U.S. policy change. How did that play out in the region?
Well, even as just a rumor, an unconfirmed report, it sent ripples. As Mostakim notes, some Gulf Arab states seemed quite quick to latch onto it. They perhaps saw it as a chance to boost their own nationalist narratives, maybe gain a bit of symbolic ground in that ongoing rivalry with Iran.
And on the Iranian side, I imagine the reaction was pretty strong.
Extremely strong.
Yeah.
From Tehran's perspective, the mere suggestion that the U.S. might switch terms was seen as a major affront. Not just to national pride, which is immense on this issue, but they framed it as an attack on international norms, on historical fact, on their sovereignty.
Wow.
You saw immediate vocal condemnations from the foreign ministry, from academics, plastered all over state media. It was presented as a fundamental issue tied to territorial integrity and centuries of history and legal precedent.
It's really quite striking, isn't it? How much symbolic power, how much emotion gets packed into just a name. What about Iranians living outside Iran, the diaspora? Is there a consensus view there?
It's one of the rare issues, actually, where you find a remarkable degree of unity across the Iranian diaspora, which is often, quite politically fragmented. By and large, there's strong support for Khalij-e Fars. People see it primarily as a matter of historical accuracy, a nonpartisan symbol connecting them to their heritage. Regardless of their views on the current government in Iran, most reject Arabian Gulf as historically inaccurate, even politically motivated.
But Mostahim also mentions there are some nuances, right? It's not entirely uniform.
That's true. While almost everyone agrees on the name's historical validity, you do hear some critical voices, particularly from opposition figures within the diaspora. Their concern is sometimes that the regime in Tehran might be using the issue.
Using it how?
Instrumentalizing it, maybe to rally nationalist sentiment, distract from domestic problems, or perhaps even suppress other forms of dissent by branding critics as unpatriotic on this very emotional issue. You also hear calls for, dialing down the rhetoric, focusing on diplomacy rather than getting bogged down in symbolic fights.
So it's complicated even within the diaspora. But the core support for the historical name is strong.
Very strong.
Okay, so stepping back then, this whole dispute, it's clearly about much more than just geography.
Oh, absolutely. That's the key takeaway from Mostagim's analysis. This isn't just about labeling a body of water. It's a lens through which you can see these huge themes playing out. Legacies of empire, the power of modern nationalism, shifting alliances, the very practice of statecraft. It's all wrapped up in this naming debate.
And the sheer persistence of Khalij-e Fars across different Iranian governments, different ideologies, Pahlavi monarchy, Islamic Republic, that really says something about how deeply embedded it is.
It really does. It suggests the name has become truly institutionalized within Iran. It's fundamental to how the nation sees itself, its history, its place in the world. It's a prime example, really, of how nations build continuity using symbols and how governments use that heritage, that sense of history, to project power and legitimacy both at home and abroad.
This has been incredibly insightful. So just to kind of summarize for everyone listening, we've looked at the ancient roots of Persian Gulf, traced how it became central to Iranian identity, explored the political context for the rise of Arabian Gulf, and touched on the recent controversies and why this naming issue carries so much weight.
Exactly. And it's crucial for you, the listener, to grasp that this isn't just arguing over words. It really taps into fundamental questions about history, about power, about identity, not just for Iran, but for the entire region. These names are loaded with meaning.
It definitely makes you think, doesn't it? When you consider how deeply a name can become part of a nation's story, its very identity, it makes you wonder, how might seemingly small changes in terminology, maybe in other disputes around the world, subtly influence international relations or even how we remember history years down the line? Something to ponder.
Thank you for listening to the Iran 1400 Project podcast. The Iran 1400 Project invites scholars, experts, and intellectuals to share their assessment of the evolution of institutions and ideas during the past 100 years to inspire a vision of Iran in the 1400s. If you found today's episode thought-provoking, be sure to subscribe, share, and continue the conversation. For more content and upcoming events, visit Iran1400.org. Until next time, stay engaged, stay informed, and stay hopeful.